Hello, everyone. Welcome to We Might Be Crazy episode 3. Is it 3?
I think it's 3. Isn't it?
I love how you know this more than me. Today, I am joined by Matt Burrows, who is apparently more on top of my schedule than I am. Great to have you in the Sad Boy Manor.
It's very good to be here.
I've got a weird question for you. Well, actually, not a weird question, more of a weird ask. Can you give me your best Californian accent? Because, okay, so context, guys. First episode, Darren came in and I asked him to do his best Australian accent, which I didn't record because I'm a genius podcast person. So now I'm going to see if Matt can fire back with a good Californian accent.
I'm so sorry to any Californians about to watch this. So dude. Gonna head down Starbucks, man.
I think that was pretty accurate. Tell me in the comments below, do you think Matt killed it or not? Because I kind of feel like it was on point. It couldn't get any better than that.
I reckon I'm from actually California. The Australian accent's the
Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and your stream?
Yeah, so I'm Matt. I'm a full-time musician and streamer from Melbourne, Australia.
Yes.
I went full-time about a year and a half ago. I think we're getting closer to... Actually, yeah, probably not quite 2 years, but getting closer to...
Wait, as in you've been going full-time, you've been full-time streaming for about...
Actually, no, I would be full-time for less than a year, I think.
Yeah, because I think we went full-time around about the same time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. So, yeah, it'd be less than a year. Man, my dates were thrown off.
Damn. Well, I know we've just passed 6 months, I think, or at least for me.
Yeah, because I think I was end of terms, like term 3 school term, which would be October-ish, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably around then.
But look at me hijacking your intro.
No, it's good. You know about me better than I know about myself. I think I meant like I've been doing the looping stuff on Twitch for about a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's where I got confused.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. And how long have you been streaming on Twitch altogether?
Getting close to 3 years now.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's been a bit.
I think I'm coming up to 2 years now. I can't imagine what it'd be like streaming for 3 years.
It's about the same as 2.
Yeah, right. It's actually closer to 2 than it is to 1, so I guess you're right there. You've said a couple of things that I really want to touch on, but first things first, I'd love to kind of know, I guess, from the point you decided to go full-time on Twitch, what was that feeling like for you in terms of just like, all right, I'm going to do this now. What were you feeling?
Well, it started at the start of last year.
Yeah.
Well, not right at the very start, just a little bit in. I decided to leave the band I was in.
Yeah.
And kind of pursue the Twitch thing with the intentions at the end of the year, just going, like finishing off my teaching and just going full-time at the end of the year. It rolled into about term 3. And the idea of term 4 kind of felt like being on death row. So I talked to Jazzy, my wife, and we kind of went like, all right, we'll send the message, start of term 3 to my bosses and say, I'm not coming back term 4.
Damn.
And try out going full-time on the Twitch first.
Oh, God. Yes. Try out going full-time on Twitch. Yes. I will try and edit this out, maybe. We shall see.
Leave the scuff in. Scuff's good.
I'm hearing a common theme of just like work just getting kind of unbearable and...
Yeah, well, I was a music teacher before that, and I knew I didn't want to do it forever.
Yeah.
But I think when COVID happened is when I started to hate it.
Yeah.
I never really hated it, but I was also doing gigs, like a lot of gigs. I was sort of in and around music a lot, and then the teaching was kind of paying the bills.
Yeah.
And then I just got into COVID. I was teaching from home over the internet. And for context, the oldest student I had was about 9. So
you're obviously teaching guitar, right?
Guitar, and then a few instruments I don't play, which is piano, drums, and a little bit of singing.
I'm just so curious. What was it like teaching drums?
Not too bad, because the kids you were teaching, you were doing like basic rudiments and like basic beats, which I could do. And like I had drum friends who could kind of help me out if I ever got stuck. But A lot of it was very like rudimentary stuff.
Okay, it's not like you have to hear them actually play drums through like a Zoom microphone.
Oh no, you absolutely had to try and hear them play drums. Yeah.
Okay.
And then they pull out the acoustic kit, they'd hit a cymbal, and then that noise suppression comes in, and you just hear nothing. It's like, I think that was good.
2 thumbs up from me, guys.
There was so much of that teaching online. Like, they do something, and you just wouldn't hear it, and you just have to be like, I'm just going to assume that was like okay, and I'm going to give you the critique that I feel like you need. And it was rough.
How long were you teaching for?
About nearly 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most of that was in like a high school environment?
Yeah, so the way I did it was you'd be in a bunch of different schools.
Yeah.
I think at the most I was in 4 different schools. Oh, actually 5 different schools, but it was 2 on one day.
Okay.
And you'd go in, pull the kid out of the lesson, do a half-hour lesson, take them back to their classes, and do that for the entire school day. And sometimes you do that and then hike to another school and do it like in the aftercare. Yeah, there was one day where I was up at usually out the door at 7 a.m. and then home at 7 p.m. and just commutes.
And because I don't think you don't drive.
No, I don't drive.
Oh, so you hiked all your gear on the tram today?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. All right.
I'm so used to that now.
I remember coming over to your place when we did a collab stream a while back. I'm just like carrying my guitar, my pedal board. I'm just like, I can't imagine doing this full time with gigs and stuff.
Well, it's a big reason why I switched to the Helix, because I used to have to lug amps around, and that was, I think it was like at the most, I think my rig was like 90 kilos on a trolley.
Yeah.
And there was one day where the tram broke down. I had to wheel it like 40 minutes to the gig, and that was the day I decided to go amp modeling.
When did you make the switch from doing gigs to primarily just focusing on Twitch?
COVID. I played a gig right up to COVID. We were actually about to go on tour.
Yeah, right.
And then it was the last rehearsal for that tour. It was talking about like, have you heard about this coronavirus thing? Like it's like, yeah, man. Like, I don't know, man. It doesn't sound like it'd be that bad. And
yeah, it'd be right.
Yeah, it'd be fine.
It'd
and
be
then
fine.
a couple of the guys were like, oh no, man, it sounds a bit spicy. And then like next day we're in lockdowns. And then I had a mate send me a message. He's like, hey dude, I'm going live on Twitch. You want to like come hang out for a bit? I was like, yeah, sure. Like, obviously got nothing going on. Like, I'm in lockdown. So I jumped in there, and he was just playing guitar solos over songs, and I thought, this looks really fun. So I called him up the next day and got into Twitch.
So crazy thing that I'm having a thing of like, just my brain is just kind of all over the place right now. The fact that you said 3 years ago, and then 3 years ago was actually the start of COVID when you started streaming.
Yeah.
Kind of is messing with my brain a little bit, because I'm like, 3 years ago, yeah, that's like maybe a year before COVID. So Matt's been streaming for a while. It's actually like just during COVID that you started doing this. Where is time gone, everyone? Where is time gone?
I'm another COVID refugee on Twitch.
So you called your friend. What was he doing like a music stream, or was it just a?
Yeah, he was doing a music stream. So he was doing what I would end up doing for the first like year and a half of my streaming, which was people would just send you random songs, and then you'd just gratuitously play guitar solos over the top of it, and you do that for a bit. And I knew nothing about it. I called him up. I'm like, how do you stream? He's like, all right, so you're going to need this software called OBS. Yeah. Like, you're going to need a stream key. And he helped me out so much. Like, shout out to Ben Dewhurst. You're a bloody legend, dude.
Damn.
And yeah, he got me into it. And then I just went down the rabbit hole of Twitch. I was watching like a bunch of different content on like how to set up your stream and like all the stuff, and just kind of built it up from there. So
I love asking this question because everyone has this different journey, but I'm really curious to hear, what was it like from day one to then 3 years ago? How did things change, like in terms of your experience and the gear that you're using?
It's like so much. I started with my MacBook Air i5 with my Focusrite 2i2 and my Helix.
You had a MacBook Air you were streaming off?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you said you were on a Pro.
No. Pro came later. I was on an Air to start off with. And it was out of sync for about a month. My guitar and the backing tracks were not in time, but I had no one watching me, so no one told me it was out of time. And I spent ages trying to figure that out, because I didn't even think of like recording my stream to listen back to see if it's in sync. I just like, go live. Yeah.
This is fun. I'm just playing. But it was stuff that you'd be doing anyway, right? So I didn't really feel like you were doing anything extra.
At the time, like there was just nothing else to do. I was like, I felt like being a 16-year-old kid again. Like when I was 16, it was just like throw on a Guns N' Roses song and play over the top of it for like hours on end. So I was just doing that, and it was a lot of fun. But then that like actually started to grow a lot more than I ever expected it to.
Yeah.
And then there was one day where I was improvising over these songs, and I was just like, I'm not having fun anymore.
Yeah.
Like I'm just going through the motions of playing this, and it's just not entertaining. I was like, all right, what I'll do, I took a whole week off. I thought I'll do these improv streams, and then I'll have like one acoustic stream on the weekends where I get to like sing some songs. And I got really hyped. And I sat down, like I worked out all this stuff for the acoustic streams, and then first stream back was an improv stream.
Right.
And I was like, I need to do the acoustic stuff.
Yeah.
I'm way more pumped to do this acoustic thing. But it was scary because I thought I've grown this base of people who are there to watch me do one thing. And I'm going to be like, all right, any song in the world? Nah, 20.
20 songs.
20 songs, and I think 10 of them were originals.
Right.
So I completely cut the song list down. I had no idea what I was doing and started doing the other things.
Yeah. So you said that you didn't really have many people watching you for the first month. At what point did that change and you started having people coming in?
It happened quite slowly. It was like you do a stream and then suddenly you'd have like 6 viewers in rather than 3. And then suddenly I'd have 10 come in, then get a rate of 13, you'd lose your shit.
Yeah.
And then,
what? This is insane.
you'd be like, you see a 20 there. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And then it just it kept growing.
Yeah.
And it was, I never, there was no like moment where it kind of blew up. It was like a really steady growth, and then it plateaued, and then it started to drop off.
Yeah.
And then I stopped having fun with it.
Okay.
Not because it dropped off. I was not having fun with it because it was just, I wanted more from what stream was. And at the time I was watching guys like Chris Miller and Autopilot.
Yep.
And that was more what I wanted to be doing.
Yeah. It's really interesting because I think I've noticed it as well. Like you can notice, especially with my streams, there are times where like it kind of feels like everything's plateaued. And I think it's because my enjoyment of what I'm doing has kind of reached a point where I'm like either dipping or just kind of flatlining a little bit.
Variety's the spice of life a bit.
Yeah.
You kind of got to keep doing something to keep it without going through the motions of it.
I kind of feel like when you're going through the motions, it's kind of like the death knell, I think, of what you're doing, right?
Yeah. And there's been streams where I've sort of done stuff and you can feel like you're just doing it.
Yeah.
And you're not in the moment. And I've gotten better at being in the moment by just like this song today, instead of looping it how I always do, I'm going to do something totally different to see what happens. Or someone will just suggest a song. And normally, like, you know, you always get people in, it's like, play this song. Sometimes they'll do it. It's like, actually, I'll give that a shot. Sure.
Kind of know that song. Guess I'll give it a go.
And then you just give it a go. And I think that's been keeping it really fun for me lately.
Yeah.
And because everything's quite improvisational.
Yeah.
With like the solos and stuff, there's always a new thing to try out there, which is fun.
So then you switch to acoustic stuff.
Straight acoustic. I was watching a lot of Ableton loopers and thought, you know what, the best thing I should do is buy myself a really basic Boss loop station.
Yeah.
Terrible decision. So I got a loop station and quickly realized, like, I quickly outgrew that thing.
Really?
Yeah, I just found it didn't, like, I was looping 4 chords and there wasn't that much I could do with it.
Right.
Because what I wanted to do is what the guys on Ableton were doing. So I had that. I used it for a bit.
Okay.
Kind of like it sounds okay. I watched back some of the videos. It's all right. It's not great, but it's all right. Yeah. And then I got a Launchpad X.
Yep.
And Live. And then I found it quite intuitive to get started on. Like the production side of it is something I'm still working on, but like the actual looping of it, I found it quite intuitive. And I looped an auto song for the first. The first thing I did, and I haven't looked back. It's just.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, I find Ableton, like, it's the first time I've ever felt inspired by a DAW.
Right. So what is it about Ableton that feels intuitive? Because I've never used it before.
I just think, like, the way the Launchpad's set up is it's like an 8x8 grid.
Yeah. And
that perfectly lines up with the 8x8 grid, like, with the grid of the tracks you've got going on. So it kind of, for me at least, I don't know if it's just maybe how my brain works, but it's like, it just made sense to use. But I have had people hit me up, it's like, I don't know what to do. Like, this is it's insane. And then, so I think I might be a little bit of an outlier on that one. But I found it quite intuitive to jump in and start doing.
It's so funny because when I've got a 2-channel looper somewhere, not in this room, but it's just like, I kind of just like the fact that it's just so, the simplicity is kind of what I like, because it kind of forces you to think like, okay, like how am I going to make a drum sound from this? Or how am I going to like, what am I going to do to make this sound a bit more fuller?
Well, see, I get a little bit envious of like, dudes like Matt Walden, because they can just start a loop.
Yeah.
I have to sit down and be like, all right, I've got to quickly put BPM in, like, all right, start the click track. All right, now I can start looping.
No, it's funny. I think Matt Walden is just like a common, because like Matt Walden's one of the first streams I've ever seen. Basically the person who got me streaming on Twitch. When I spoke with Darren's like, oh, like Matt Walden's a huge inspiration. It's just like, it's funny, just like kind of hearing.
He's really good at what he does.
Yeah. That's so funny. So when did you make that switch? I'm trying to get timelines in my head. So you basically spent, how long did you do the kind of guitar solo-y stuff and then the acoustic and then kind of looping?
Did it for about a year and a half. I can't exactly remember when I started.
Year and a half?
Yeah, about a year and a half.
Damn, okay.
Getting closer to 2 years when I did it. But I made the switch around October.
Yeah.
And that was when I sort of, it was a long week of people coming in trying to request songs. Actually, maybe like months of people coming in trying to request songs like that, where it's like, no, we're doing this now. And then you just never see them again.
Yeah.
And it was sort of, I had this core audience who's still there today. And it's absolutely incredible that there's still these people who are around, like, and just stuck with me through, like, pretty much entirely changing what I did.
So that's kind of why I think we're talking a little bit before. So I'm a little bit more inclined to go down the variety route now. I kind of think that you could, like, because you have built that core audience and you've already made a change, you could actually do some weird stuff. You could. I suppose it's like, I also just don't know what variety I do. Yeah.
Because I do love just playing music.
I mean, and that's perfect. That's perfect.
It's what I know, and it's just kind of the person I am. I've always been a musician.
Yeah.
Since I was 11 years old, I started calling myself a guitarist.
So is that when you started?
No, I actually started when I was 8, but I was...
Good Lord.
I was the shit guitarist.
Good Lord.
I started playing when I was 8, but it was go to the lesson, put the guitar in the corner, and not touch it for a whole week.
That was me.
Yeah, and then year 11. When I was 11 in year 6, I had a music teacher, and I started, like, I joined the school band. Yeah. And he introduced me to Pink Floyd. And then the guitar...
And it all changed.
Guitar came with me everywhere. Like, we'd go for a trip to Sydney for a week, the guitar's in the back seat.
Wow.
I just, inseparable from it.
So what was it about Pink Floyd that kind of just gripped you and never let you go?
It's
Epic.
Yeah, it was Shine On You Crazy Diamond from the live album.
Yeah.
And it was this insane light show, this like huge intro, just awesome. I didn't know guitar could sound like that. And it was such an epic experience. And I'm fairly sure I was one of the few people in that class that felt like that, because I remember kids around me like, why is the intro still playing? When do they start singing?
Where is the singing at? I don't know where it is.
And I was just getting my mind blown by it. I thought it was absolutely incredible. And they're still my favorite band of all time. Yeah. Because it's, Gilmour is like my absolute guitar idol. Yeah. Everything I do is just try and be a discount Gilmour.
Interesting. And then, because I never really had that experience, because I was always the shit guitar student where I was just like, I'd show up to my lessons once a week, make the minimal amount of effort needed to kind of satisfy the teacher.
I didn't even do the minimal amount of effort when I was 8.
Oh, really?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how much were you playing past that point? Do you think it was just like kind of exponentially more than what you were doing before?
Oh, yeah. It was hours and hours every day, especially when I sort of hit around like 14 and I discovered like the pentatonic scale and I got a loop station. It was like 6 to 8 hours a day of just spacey jams in my bedroom.
It's so, because that reminds me of my friend Ash, who basically did the same thing, would play 6 to 8 hours. I think, is that a prerequisite to be a guitarist? Just
well, when I studied music, we had the guys from Snarky Puppy come to our uni, and the guitarist there said that everyone in that band was doing 8 to 10 hours of practice.
Right.
But I've never really been a practice guy.
Yeah.
I play a shitload of guitar, but I don't practice guitar as much as I should. And there's a very big difference.
What do you mean by that?
Well, practicing, like, I don't really spend time sitting down and focusing on aspects that I want to improve.
Okay.
But I play a lot of guitar.
Yeah.
So I'm always improvising, but I haven't sat down and like gone, all right, today I'm going to work on this specific
The Phrygian
thing.
scale.
Yeah. Like I know all that stuff and I do use them, but I never really sit down and practice it. Not since uni. Yeah. Which I probably should.
But I mean, it's kind of like you figured out what works for you and you kind of like honed that down to an art, right?
Maybe not an art.
I don't know.
I think I've been quite I actually heard this from a bouldering guy.
A bouldering guy?
Yeah. He said he's quite a like instinctive climber.
Okay.
He said he makes a terrible teacher because everything he does, he's just kind of instinctively figured out.
Okay.
And that's kind of how I feel about guitar.
Yeah.
I don't really know how I figured things out. I've just sort of figured them out from like ham-fistedly doing them.
You've put in enough time to figure out what it is that works for you, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So it's when people ask me certain things like, how do you figure out how to do this? Or like the one I always get is like, how do you play faster? It's like, I don't know. I just sort of got faster. And I know there's things I would have done.
Yeah.
But I just don't really remember what I've done.
I mean, if you're playing 6 to 8 hours a day, like there's probably so many things happening during that time, especially if you're practicing every day. Like you just don't realize what you're doing at that point.
Yeah, I think you just kind of, for lack of a better term, you're throwing shit at the wall.
Yeah,
sticks, and then,
yeah.
Because there's like, I've learned a ton of scales while I was at uni.
Yeah.
That I've never used again.
Yeah.
But there's ones that I use all the time.
Yeah.
And like they slip into your vocab all the time. I can honestly say I've never used a super Locrian scale in my life, and I probably never will.
Oh man, that just brings back like my guitar lessons. Is like, and here's the super Locrian scale. I'm like, am I going to use this?
No,
probably not.
Like it is good stuff to know, and it's really cool understanding music. It's kind of like what's the term for when you learn about language? It's like you can go back and see like where a word came from and its origins.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the specific word though. It's like just looking back on the history of something. You're an anthropologist.
Yeah, that's the one. I love that with music. Like you can kind of go back and figure out like, so that's how they came. Like that's where these chords come from, and like why they exist and why they work in this context. Like that's really cool. But yeah, it doesn't mean you're going to use it all. Yeah.
There's definitely a like pretty distinct difference between people who just like play and then people who like really understand music theory.
Yeah. And then you got the guys who really understand music theory and play their asses off. And they're terrifying. Yeah,
they're pretty good. It's like, oh, wow, you're really good.
So I've been watching a lot of Julian Large recently. I copped him. Insane. Absolutely insane.
Sorry, we'll get there one day, dude. We'll get there one day.
Yeah, maybe when I'm about 80.
Yeah, it's all right. Persistence and time beats... I don't know what the quote is. The quote is something.
Just brute force it.
Brute force it. Hey, I mean, it's worked for you so far.
True.
I think. So, hey, why change something that isn't broken, you know?
You said it. You heard it here first.
I'm really keen. So it sounds like during, I guess, end of primary school, going into high school, you spent a lot of time practicing. When did you kind of like start like playing in bands and stuff?
Bands took a while because I grew up in a small country town. There just wasn't a lot of musicians.
Yeah, okay.
So I actually weirdly started making my own backing tracks, which sounded like crap.
Yeah. Do you still have them?
No, but I have videos of them.
Okay.
So I just started doing that stuff a lot because I wanted to do improv and play guitar solos, but you can't really do that when you rock up with an acoustic guitar. At least I couldn't at the time. There's guys that can do it, and I can sort of do it now, but I couldn't back then.
Yeah. So
I think my first band... Well, I had bands in high school, but we literally only ever played in that high school and then never played a gig outside.
Oh, okay. Like really like high school bands.
Yeah. Like I always got called to play like the award ceremonies and stuff.
Oh.
And there is my favorite photo of all time, which is like one of these old dudes in the background just wincing because I'm like, yeah, we played loud and didn't really care about people's hearing.
Yeah. You've unlocked like core memories for me that I have repressed. I hate playing because I think I had a really small school as well, and there was probably about 5 to 10 musicians in my entire school.
Probably same vibes for mine as well.
And because we were like the only people in the VC music program, so VC is our kind of final years for those outside of Australia. Principal's like, hey guys, like we've got you playing this here.
Yep.
And I was really into, we were all really into like Dream Theater, Trivia.
Oh, right
so
on.
like we played like, I guess you'd call it prog metal.
Yeah.
It's like not the right environment for that, but you got to play what you know, right?
So I was really into Zakk Wylde, who was like just aggressive, like Southern rock. And it was like I would be doing an award.
Southern rock.
Yeah, well, Southern rock metal is.
Okay.
If you look up pictures of Zakk Wylde, you'll kind of get the vibe.
Yeah.
But like I'd have like an amp there. I'd have like a foot up on the amp playing these things. And
I love that.
I'd go and shred guitar solos in a seated audience. Like I think there was definitely like a big streak of ego when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I know it was good fun. I just like being a bit of a dickhead. Still do.
So you mentioned that you were living in a like really small country town. When did you move to Melbourne?
Melbourne, I moved to about a year after high school.
Okay.
I was playing in a band, And the drummer said, all right, peace, I'm going to Melbourne to study music. End of that band. I kind of fart-assed around for a little bit because there was a year where I decided that music wasn't for me. And
Really?
Yeah, no idea why. It was a terrible decision. But
I'm going to be a lawyer.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was going to be. I was just going to be a bum, I think. But I kind of went through that, and then I went, no, I got to do this music thing. So I moved to Melbourne and studied the same degree that he was doing.
Cool.
And that's, so I moved into a studio apartment on my own in the big city, and yeah, it was a bit intimidating. I got lost my first day and ended up spending $30 on a taxi back home because I had no idea how to get back to my house.
Yeah.
Like I was in the middle of Burke Street, which now is like second nature. I just know my way around there, but it was like this labyrinth. I didn't understand it. I didn't know where I was. There was people everywhere. It was scary. I'm like this little country boy.
Lost in the big city.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I bought it, like I wanted to catch a tram because trams look like fun. I was like, this looks like fun. And I caught it, I think, to Flinders.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. I was like, oh shit, I've fucked up here.
And that's when he knew he fucked up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I studied a degree, and that's where I met like most of the people I know. That's where I met Jazzy, my wife, and a bunch of my mates, and kind of got better at guitar.
Yeah.
But that's, I think when I moved to Melbourne, when I steeped myself in the blues scene a lot. Like I was playing anywhere between like 1 to 3 times a week.
Live gigs.
Nice. And just like so much alcohol. Like they were genuinely like 3-hour sets, drunk, then wake up the next day, go play another 3-hour set and have a couple more beers while you're there.
I've never lived that life, but I can imagine while you're young, it's quite fun.
It's a lot of fun, yeah. I mean, now like I haven't had a drink in 3 years.
Really?
Yeah, I'm stone cold sober.
Damn. I mean, how old are you, Phil? I'm asking.
26.
26.
In like 4 days.
Well, this will be out by the time. Well, actually,
I'll
no,
be 26 by the time this is out.
Yeah. This is coming out in like another week and a half.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Everyone wish Matt a birthday. Happy birthday in the comments. Yeah. No, I found as I started getting older, so I turned 30 at the start of the year, and just I can't live that life anymore.
Yeah, I couldn't really live that life in when I got I think like I quit if I'm 26 now, I quit when I was about 23.
Right.
And I was just, I couldn't, like it would just take a toll on my mental health. Right. That's the big thing. You'd wake up, you'd feel hungover, like the regular hangover feelings, but then it would put me into like a month-long depression. Yeah. And it's like getting drunk's not worth this sort of life. No. And it was pretty much my Bucks night. I got down and out at 10, teleported home, got shown videos of me like throwing up my sink, not any memory of doing it.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, I'm going to quit drinking now.
Yeah. I definitely feel
so I had like a drink on my wedding day, had a few drinks on our honeymoon, and then about halfway through the honeymoon, that was the last drink, and I haven't had one again.
How do you feel, I guess, cutting that out of your life?
Pretty
good. I mean, imagine just cutting it out completely, just like, no hangovers. Wow, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is good. Like, I get hangovers if I stay up too late, though.
Yeah.
If I have a night past, like, midnight, I need, like, a day.
Yeah. It's so funny because, like, you tend to associate the hangover feeling with just a lot of alcohol, but, like, most of it's probably attributed to the fact that you stayed up till 4 a.m.
Yeah, I reckon so, eh? Like, I feel so cooked after a big night. Like, we had some mates around like a week or so ago. Yeah. And it was like up till maybe 1 a.m. Yeah. And I felt rat shit in the morning. I felt so bad. I was like, I didn't have a single drink. I drank water the whole night. Like I was like eating good, drinking good, and I still woke up feeling bad.
Sleep is just such a, like, it's definitely something you take for granted, especially when you're kind of growing up and getting older, right? Yeah.
I'm a big fan of sleep.
Hell yeah. So then, because I'm curious. So basically, at the start of COVID, the band that you had been playing with was that like kind of broke up?
No, they were still going strong. They had a whole release cycle set, and I was the one that decided to leave.
Interesting.
Which took them by surprise, and I did it in a really bad way, like classic Matt style, which was like we were just about to start the second EP cycle. Yeah. And I went up to them and said, we just finished a podcast promoting the second EP cycle.
Oh, okay.
And then I jumped on a call with them and said like, hey guys, I think I'm going to not be in this band anymore. Yeah. And it was like breaking up. It was really weird. And yeah, I definitely didn't do it very well. Yeah. But I'm not very good at that stuff as it is.
I feel like you and I are kind of similar in some respects, and I definitely struggle with those kinds of conversations immensely.
Very non-confrontational.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And it was a long time stewing on it. I think when I got the mentality of like, okay, I think I'm ready to do this, I just had to do it. Well, when I had that feeling of doing it, I'm like, I have to make this call.
It's so funny. So yeah, that sounds exactly like me. But what were the moments leading up? Because how long were you guys together for in a band?
Like 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
Damn.
So we'd gone through a lot. We'd started off as kind of like this classic rock band, and then it started to evolve more into this pop atmosphere. And then like I was kind of doing soundscapey stuff. We had like this whole rebrand.
Okay.
And it was sort of, I think I'd started this streaming thing that was really fun and I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
And I started to feel more and more like I was kind of more like a hired gun in the band, more than a like actual band member. Even though like I'm sure they probably thought of it as me being a member. I started to feel a bit more of this disconnect.
Right.
And I think I just reached the point where I'm like, moving into the new year, this band's going to cost a lot of money, a lot of time. And that's money and time that I can't put back into my stream. Yeah. So it was this decision of like, which one do I want to choose? And I chose the stream.
So then I'm really curious about timeline. So at what point did you decide into stream? I guess how long into streaming had you decided like this is where I want to go?
I think pretty early on I wanted to make it happen, but when I started doing the loop thing,
yeah,
I think that's when I felt like there was potential to actually push it into something that could be more long lasting.
Yeah.
And it was probably getting to the back end. I think I've been doing the loop thing for about 8 months.
Yeah.
And it was feeling good.
So this would have been 2022?
I think 2022, yeah.
Yeah.
Because 2023 was, no wait, that's this year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2022, yeah.
Yeah.
So about the start of that year was when I was like, I want to try and make a go of going full time with this. At the time, it wasn't anywhere near being at that point, especially because I just changed, like the viewership was starting to sort of drop off.
Yeah.
But I was like, I want to go really hard into this and sort of work on making it something that could be potential to go full time with.
And that's the exact same thing I was thinking as well. It's just like I am nowhere close to even partly sustaining my lifestyle with this, but like this is just something I've never experienced before. Like I want to see if I can take this somewhere.
Yeah, like I could
totally
see myself doing it a lot longer.
Yeah.
And it was, I think the fact that it was also me.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't part of this thing. It was just purely on my own back. Like stuff doesn't get done, that's on me.
Yeah.
Improvements and all of that, it's coming from me. And I think that was a really nice aspect.
How did you go from, because I've never been in a band before, so I'm curious to hear from you. Like, how did you go from, I guess, being in a band with like 3 to 4 other people to then doing something that is literally just you?
I found it quite easy because I've always done solo stuff on the side, but it was always in the capacity of like a venue needed someone to come play gig, and I'd just do it.
Yeah.
But it was weird to not be in the band only because it had been like the only thing I was in for like 4 years. Yeah. It was like the only project I was in, occasional solo stuff. And it was just it was more weird just not being a part of the band.
Yeah.
And then the stream thing, I'd sort of done it long enough that I was quite comfortable with what that was. So it wasn't too weird to kind of go into my own thing. I think the weirdest part's just writing songs on your own. Yeah. Like writing, like I've written songs all my life, but then you're like writing songs, you're like, the first song I wrote in 4 years.
Yeah.
Like it's the only song I've released now, but it was the first song I'd written in 4 years because I just wasn't writing with the band.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't really a lead songwriter. I always consider I was like salt and pepper.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of write the bare bones of the song, send it to me, and then I'd salt and pepper some guitars in there.
Right.
And that was pretty much my part. So I hadn't really written a song.
I mean, there's a lot of like, especially when you don't get ideas from other people, like it's so hard to just start something from completely nothing, right?
Yeah, I find all the other aspects, like I can do guitar, lyrics, and vocals, and that's all fine. But then like writing drums, like how the hell do you write drums? It's like, I can't get it. And then I take it to someone who knows drums, like a mate of mine, Jara, he'll sit down and just be like, write a drum beat. I'm like, how'd you do that? He's like, I just think about like when I play drums, like that's probably my problem. I can't play drums. So it's probably the reason everything comes out as rock beat 1 when I try to write drums.
When did you decide, because I can kind of pinpoint the moment where I'm like, this is something that I want to make a big part of my life. It was like maybe the first week of streaming for me where I'm just like, this is it. Like I'm going to push to make this a thing for me. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to make it happen. Like, how long into streaming did you have that realization?
I think there was 2 moments of that.
Yeah.
So there was when my initial stream started picking up. I think probably not long after like the affiliate thing.
Yeah.
I started to sort of see growth, and there was people coming in, and like first time I was really getting like compliments on my playing,
Yeah.
and like people who seemed to just enjoy what I was doing for the first time. Like you do gigs and someone will come up and say like, "Hey, that was awesome," and then you never see them again. And it was like there was people that were coming back.
Yeah.
And like it's a really weird experience. I'm like I really enjoy this, and I kind of want to. This is what I want to do more.
Yeah.
So I think pretty early on I was like I could really see myself doing this full time.
Yeah.
And then moved into the new year, kind of started to fall out of love with the other thing, picked up the new thing, and then all of that love just came back.
Yeah.
It was like I started to lose that love, and then it all just came back, and it hasn't gone past that. Like so I think there was two big moments for it. It was like right at the start, and then like another one when I switched my content up.
It's so funny that you say like compliments online versus like at a gig. I spoke with Southey and Alex, who run the Musos podcast, and I was talking to them about my first experience like at a gig. So I've been streaming longer, like more on Twitch than I would ever have like doing a live gig. So I think I've never done it before. And the thing that I was just so surprised about is I'll be playing to a bunch of people, and you're not necessarily like there for a show. You're kind of there just to kind of fill the noise. And I'm like, I'd finish the song and I'm like, should I be talking? Should I be like waiting for an applause? Or like, people don't clap at these kind of gigs. I'm just like, this is this is so strange to me.
Those gigs are soul crushing. I've done a few like cafe gigs, and you work your ass off on these songs, and then you play them, and it's just like everyone's just still eating. It's like, it takes a special sort of person, I think.
Oh
to do those sorts
man,
of gigs consistently.
I've done it twice, and I'm just like, I'd rather just do this. Honestly, this is just more enjoyable for me. Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that it's like I go and sit down in my own home. Everything's there. I know it sounds good. I know it feels good to play.
Yeah.
It's like super comfort zone. Like you play gigs and it's like you got a bad sound guy. You can't hear yourself for a whole gig.
Yeah.
Or you have a gig where it's like the best gig you've ever played. Everything feels great. Like every gig feels good here. It's like I have streams that are better than other streams. But in terms of like a sound and a feel perspective, they all feel the same.
Yeah.
And that's so nice.
Yeah, you really control the quality. And like you said before, I really love just like if something is wrong, it's kind of on you.
Yeah.
Like there's no excuses to make. Like it's just like you are the person responsible for how everything looks and sounds.
Yeah. And I like that aspect.
Yeah. So I love to obsess with like lighting and like camera and stuff that like is probably not really aligned with music stuff. Do you kind of fall into rabbit holes like that where you like really like tweak?
Yeah, I think my rabbit hole tends to come down. There's 2 that I'll fall down depending on what's happening. It's usually the audio side though.
Okay.
I usually go deep down into mix stuff.
Yeah.
And I've done ones where I've done this huge mix. I've changed everything. I'll be like, this is sounding great. And then I listen back to them like, it's awful. I need to bring back my old session.
Yeah.
And they're the rabbit holes I'll go down. Like I'll spend sometimes 4 hours tweaking knobs, which is terrible. Because if you talk to anybody who's like in the audio scene, like your ears get fatigued.
Yeah.
You spend 4 hours doing audio, everything sounds the same at that point.
Yeah.
It's like, it just doesn't work. So I go down that rabbit hole a lot, but then also recently I've just been going down like the bot rabbit hole, like Atom. So
you were telling me about it. It's kind of explain to folks what it is. It's blowing my mind.
It's just like this bot made by, I know there's more people on the team, but I'm going to say Mr. Greggles because he's the one I know from the team. He's an insane drummer, insane setup.
Yeah.
At the moment, I'm using it in like a limited capacity, and it's already amazing.
Yeah.
So I've just got it to control channel points. So someone activates channel point, it'll change scene on my thing automatically. But you can also tell it to like, say I've got a couple where it'll change scene, and if someone changes scene and then someone fires off the other one, it'll change the other scene. You can tell it's just turn those off. So when you activate that channel point reward, they disappear until it's done, and then they come back again.
Wow. Okay. I don't know where I was thinking of this from, but I imagine this is to be some sort of like capturing vertical video.
That's another one. They just released the vertical plugin.
Okay.
Which is amazing. But the Atom bot is just, it's insane what you can do. Like you can set it up to be, like I know Mr. Greggles had it set up to like one of his drums will just change to a different camera on his stream. So when he hits that drum, it'll change camera.
Oh my God.
It's
this crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord.
I've just scratched the surface of it. There's like, you can do stuff where it'll do stuff like bring in secret channel point rewards for a certain level of a hype train. Or like if a hype train starts, you suddenly get these new channel point rewards that just appear.
So
they might only appear for like 10 seconds.
So this is completely non podcast related, but I have this thing called Aiden Cyrus. So I've been looking for ways to let folks trigger it. I normally put it just under the lamp here because it's like, yeah, this is kind of cute. Me kind of swing in. So I could have it set up so channel points could trigger that to come on.
Yep.
Oh my God.
If ADEM doesn't work for Mac though, you can use Touch Portal, which is what I used to use.
Touch Portal.
That's what I was using for the longest time, but ADEM is better. I just don't know if it's on Mac.
That's amazing. My mind is blown.
It's nuts, and you see what some people are doing with it, and it's deep. Because you can tell it to be triggered by anything, and it can control your OBS. It can send. So if you've been on my stream, you'll know that I have like the chipmunk voice, the octave up.
Yep.
It will just automatically turn on when someone activates that channel point reward now.
Right.
And I haven't had a stream with it yet because I couldn't figure it out for the first stream. But yeah, it'll just turn the chipmunk on automatically.
What? That's crazy.
So out of nowhere, just suddenly have a higher voice, and then it'll go away.
But I'm really curious though, because I look up to you in terms of your sound quality. So obviously, for a bit of context, I had Matt kind of troubleshooting a few issues with my guitars and vocals and all that stuff. So we've kind of at a level where I'm actually quite happy at the moment. But I'm really curious to hear, like, if I was a brand new streamer, like, you know, wanting to hop on and do something like your setup, you know, what kind of advice would you give that person?
Hours of Google
and
questions to people who are better at it.
Okay, yeah.
That's pretty much it. I will jump into a session. I will spend, if there's something I'm not hearing. So I think it all comes down firstly to just listening and determining what you're not hearing that you want to hear.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to it, it's like, the vocals sound weak or whatever, then you sort of go like, literally go into Google and go like, how to get better vocals or like vocal production. And there is so much out there. Yeah. And you just weed through it and you just do stuff. And always listen and see if it sounds better to you or not. And then if you can, like I've got a producer, mate, who I can go to. And I can just be like, does this sound all right? Yeah. And he'd be like, do this. Yeah. And then you'll do that. It's like, that sounds even better now.
In terms of, I guess, the gear when you were first starting out as well, like, would you say that you need to have like all the kind of whiz-bang gear to actually start, like the SM7Bs and you know the expensive cameras and stuff?
I think this will be a pretty common answer from most people. Yeah. Absolutely not. No. Yeah. I think it's just start. Yeah. Because where I am now, and I say this on stream a lot, where I am now with the setup and everything I have, it's 3 years of slowly buying stuff. Yeah. It's like, all right, save up, buy this thing, and then you buy the next thing, and then you buy the next thing, and then suddenly you're at where I am now. Yeah.
And it's really interesting and something that I actually have to start doing tax now because, you know, sole trader, etc. Like when things started to scale up, like it's not like you're not making the most money in the world, but it's like every little bit like kind of just helps you push in a direction where you can slowly start to scrap together things
so
that you need, right?
The thing I'm into now is like I've kind of got all the hardware I need. Yeah. And I'm starting to get into like more of the plugins and like different stuff with that. Like I want to get some like a better saturator and there's a whole bunch of like fab filter stuff I want to get into. Yeah. And that's it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. Yeah.
It's a lot of money and it's a like infinite amount of things you could buy there. Yeah. So it's like, what do you want to get? Yeah. Because everything I've got now is pretty much free plugins.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. I think there's one plugin I've paid for, which is the Valhalla Reverb.
Yeah, and it sounds gorgeous.
Valhalla's the best. If you want good reverb, just get Valhalla. Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, because one aspect of what I want this podcast to be is to be like, I see such a huge future for Twitch music. Like, I'm curious to your thoughts on this as well. But like, I think in 5 years, as soon as we start to get more mainstream, I don't know, someone like Phineas, like hops on the platform, starts streaming. Like, I
would watch the hell out of Phineas.
Everyone would watch that. But like, as soon as we start to see more of that, you know, you've got Deadmau5, you've got Matt Hafey from Trivium, you've got some big names coming on the platform. But when we start to see more of that, I think the music kind of category will explode.
Yeah, I do see I think Twitch sees a future for the music category. Yeah. And I think that's, for me at least, that's evident in how much you see musicians on the front page. Yeah. It's like, it's a lot. They really try to push the music side. Yeah. And I reckon they will try to get bigger artists on there. Yeah. Or at least I hope they try to get bigger artists on there.
because it's really interesting listening to like Matt Hafey's interviews where he talks about his initial experiences with the Twitch kind of stuff.
Yeah.
He was like, oh, like why would people want to see me like hop on and do my vocal exercises?
Yeah, people. When you're Matt Heafy, like
Yeah.
people want to see that behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like imagine if Phineas started streaming, you got to go just watch him do production.
Production. Oh.
Like I've been watching so many production streams lately.
That's just a whole other area that I just haven't gone down, which I'm kind of afraid to because it sounds like such a rabbit hole.
Just starting the rabbit hole. I'm like at the tip of the rabbit hole, like just jumping into it. Like I'll go watch Closure do production or LeVay or like there was Rachel Grace Violin was doing like a rundown of one of her sessions, and it was like it's awesome. It's like you hear all these things. It's like you did that. I'm like I'm gonna try that now. It's like you fed this thing into this thing and then like a low pass filter that like is panned to this thing. I'm like, I'm just going to give that a shot. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And you just mess around with it. It's like, okay.
In terms of, so I'm obviously running all hardware. Like what would be the breakdown of people who use a DAW, like use a workstation like Logic or Ableton versus people who just do hardware?
Like as in, how would you go about setting it up or?
No, as in like, I'm curious to hear the breakdown of people that you've seen, I guess, doing production streams. Like, do you think that most people tend to use the software to stream music or hardware side of things?
Well, most of the people I tend to watch do.
Okay.
But that's not that. I think that's just because I tend to gravitate to the Ableton because I get to see more people doing what I do.
Interesting.
But I think a lot of people do tend to go through the DAW, but there's heaps of hardware guys.
Yeah,
doing it as well.
yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of the ones I tend to watch are using DAWs, but I think that's more because I like watching people use DAWs.
Yeah.
Just because it's what I'm using, and then you can kind of pick up some stuff.
Yeah.
Essentially steal people's homework.
Oh yeah. That's, I mean, honestly, and I'm kind of glad that you brought it up. Like, if I kind of look back on the last 2 years of me streaming, like, I kind of see like, like I've stolen 90% of my vibes from Closure Club. I've stolen a bunch of stuff from you. I've
nicked stuff from you.
Jeff's home. I saw him using this octave pedal. I'm just like blowing my mind.
Is that the boss one?
Yeah.
Where it can like wire it up to different things. Dude, that's so cool.
Yeah. Octave. Yeah.
It's incredible.
It sounds so good. Yeah.
No, it's such a cool pedal.
Who would you say is probably your biggest influence on Twitch in terms of like what you've stolen stuff from?
He knows it too, but it's Chris. Chris Miller.
Chris Miller?
Yeah. I was talking to him last night and I was like, dude, I spent like 2 hours trying to get MIDI to work with Adam. How'd you do it? I was like, I'm just going to steal your homework. Yeah, no, Chris has been a massive influence.
Yeah.
And then, nearly fell over. And then Auto was another big one. But I think Chris has been probably the bigger influence because I've had like a time. Like he's made.
Yeah, okay.
Well, he'll say I'm an acquaintance because of... There was one time I made a joke in Chris's stream. No. It's not like that. It's not like that.
Are we going to start getting drama on this podcast?
No. There was one time. There was one joke I made in his chat.
Bit too spicy?
He said like, Matt's someone I could call a friend. And I said, like, oh, friend's a strong word. And now he's never let it go ever since. So now he is always like, yeah, Matt, he's a very good acquaintance. But no, I would genuinely call Chris like a friend.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's probably influenced me the most because I can just talk to him. I just be like, hey, can't figure out how to do this thing.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
And it's crazy because when you think about what we're doing, there are people who have released like videos on how to do it, but a lot of it's just like you kind of make your own way.
Well, yeah, because it's with the music side of it. There's like, what are you doing? It's so varied what you have. That's really hard to have one thing where it's like, yeah, just do this.
Yeah,
it's so much. Like even when you get in the production side, like you'll be like, oh, how to make your vocals sound better? It's like, well, what vocals are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what gear have you got? What do you want to make your vocals sound like? And it's like, oh shit, I got all these questions I got to answer now.
Because I feel like in terms of the gaming side of things, there is kind of a blueprint kind of set out in terms of like, hey, like you want to focus on this, this, and this. You want to do content, and a lot of it applies to music. But I feel like in terms of how you would set up a music stream, there are so many different ways you can go about doing this.
But I also feel like there's so many people doing gaming. There's just more information for it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the streaming guys I watched when I started off, like good old Harris Heller that I think everyone's watched.
Oh yeah.
Stream Scheme.
Yeah.
LJ.
Yeah.
Like those guys are like, it's gaming content, and you have to kind of watch it and be like, okay, how do I apply this to the music side of it?
Yeah.
And I don't think there's that many people who are like, who's the Harris Heller of the music streams?
There is one. I am Leon. Sorry, I remember his name.
Leon Bratt. Yeah.
He has a series, and he is the only one I think so far that's done like, here's how your music stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about Leon. And I'm sorry, Leon. I only just watched a Leon stream for the first time during a raid train I was part of.
Yeah.
And blew my mind.
It's crazy
He's
what
so
he gets up
good.
to. It's so good. And I think he uses just like a
Yeah,
boss,
I think he's a
boss
boss guy
2
as well, yeah.
channel, like maybe one of the RC 600, is it the big one? RC 600?
Yeah. Big lad. I think that's 600. I know that was the RC 300, but I don't keep up with it. RC 300 is like
Yeah.
the old version of it. I think the new one.
And I love it how everyone's audio quality just went up when they switched over to, because I think it was capped to like a really low bit rate, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
it wasn't like 160.
Yeah.
For like one it's like 320 now.
Oh man. So we are coming up to the damn, it's been nearly an hour already.
Oh shit.
That's crazy. So I like to keep the last like 10 minutes for anything you want to talk about. Is there anything coming up you want to kind of shout out?
There's really not that much, to be honest. Like I actually don't think I've got anything crazy planned for the future. I'm just doing my thing.
Well, then a better question is like, where do you? This is now proper. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully doing what I do now, but better. And
Okay.
as superficial as it sounds, I'd love to have that little purple mark.
Oh yeah.
I've always said
Yeah.
that I'm never going to do a partner push or
Yeah.
anything like that
Yeah.
for it. But it would just be that nice little like, hey, there you go.
I have this thing where I see people doing partner pushes, and it's just like, I don't want to make my audience feel bad for me doing a thing and not hitting it.
Well, I think the thing I see with partner pushes a lot, that's no fault of anyone's, but they tend to do it and then the numbers go back down again.
Yeah.
So it's like you get this purple tick, but then you back to your regular viewers. And I'd rather just organically, if it's going to grow to there, I just want it to organically grow to there. And if it doesn't get there, then that's cool too.
That's cool.
I've got a really cool community of people who enjoy doing what I do, and I enjoy spending time with them. And that's the most
all
important
that
part.
really matters, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's I have kind of like I've kind of kept a similar stance, but in the back of my head, I'm just like, it would nice to have a little bit of validation from the platform to be like, hey, you've done
You did good, kid.
you've done a good job.
It's like a little pat on the back. Here you go. Man. You did all right.
Why don't you shout out your schedule when you stream? What people can expect when they attend your stream?
Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting at 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You can expect loops, gratuitous guitar solos, and push-ups.
And apparently, so the thing that I've always seen you go live with is wrong notes. I don't hear very many wrong notes, dude. I just hear really crazy guitar solos. I'm like, that might have been a wrong note, but it's just a bit of jazz.
I've had this conversation with Darren. I'm like, one day I'm going to sit down, go through my old VODs, and just find every wrong note and do like a compilation of all the times I mess up.
I think I actually would love to watch that. That is
I think it'd be
YouTube
fun.
content right there.
Yeah.
Just record yourself just going through and like, oh, here.
Well, because
Yeah.
I've been getting into slide lately and my intonation's awful on it. So I'll watch it back and it'll be like,
Ooh.
that's,
Ooh.
And then you have like
that's-
one moment, it's like, that sounded good. Oh, no, that didn't.
That moment after that. Ooh, that
Ooh,
was
yeah,
a bit of a
spicy.
bit of a ooh.
I think that's one of the really fun things about Twitch is like you can just fail.
Yeah.
People are okay to see you kind of fall a bit.
No one expects this really polished performance, right?
Yeah. I think people enjoy seeing you like try. I remember like Auto says it on his stream all the time. It's like YouTube's where you put the perfect stuff, and then Twitch is where you can experiment and fail.
You just kind of do a bunch of things and see what sticks.
Yeah, like
yeah.
if it falls apart and everything breaks, like
That's funny. It's good content.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like I've been in streams where like Auto will do something and like he'll hit a button and then just suddenly like chaos ensues, and it's like, oh man, like
But I mean,
God bleeds.
His setup is just like he sits there and then he's got like a whole pad for like launchpad, keyboard, and then like a bunch of.
He's got so much.
It's that setup just blows my mind.
Have you ever seen him run through his Ableton session?
No.
It's like 120 tracks. There's like there's sends into sends. And
As in that's his live.
That's his live.
That's his live.
It's 120 tracks, and it's probably more at this point because I think he's
Good
always.
God.
Apparently, it's the same thing he started with, the exact same session he started with, and he's just been like adding and changing, and it's just evolved into what he calls the web of madness.
I kind of think that maybe having hardware is like sticking to hardware is probably a good thing for me because man, I'm just thinking about going down that rabbit hole would just like consume me.
There is a thing about like simplicity sort of brings out the creativity.
Yeah.
I think restriction breeds creativity or something like
Yeah.
that. And I feel like I'm at a point where I can't add more because I don't have more things to add.
Yeah.
But I can make the things I've got sound better.
Yeah.
And that's been nice.
I mean, that is the perfect place to finish up. Dude, Matt, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's
Thank
been
you for
fun.
making the trek over to Southside. I know so we have a thing
Beautiful area.
a thing in Melbourne where, you know, you've got the dividing line, which is the city. People from the north side and the south side. They don't like to travel up and down. There's a little bit of tension when you're like, hey, do you want to come to this place? It's like, ooh.